The April 11th, 2018 meeting of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first thing that I'm going to do this evening is welcome Bill Snelling to the board as a sitting member. He has been a alternate up to this time. So he has some experience, but this is his first solid night.
Very good.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is charged with conducting hearings to determine whether the alleged violation of the city code has occurred. The decisions made by the quasi-judicial board will be based on the evidence and facts presented tonight. Our meetings are conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, and each case will begin with the city presenting its evidence of the alleged violation. The respondent will then present his or her case. Both parties will have an opportunity to cross-examine all witnesses. The board members may question any witness. Comments by both parties must be relevant to the case. Persons wishing to speak will be given the opportunity to do so by the chairman and must be addressed by the board from the podium after giving their name and address. Upon request, copies of the materials submitted by the staff are available for review. Board members are reminded to obtain permission to speak from the chair, and questions of the city should be directed to the attorney for the city. At this time, I will ask all persons who expect to give testimony tonight to stand and be sworn in by the Deputy City Clerk.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask, are any of the any of the other persons that are in the audience visiting, are they wishing to speak tonight?
I'm an attorney and I'm probably gonna represent.
You should be sworn in.
I have to testify. If you want me to testify, I can.
Well, whichever the case, if you're going to speak, if you're going to come before it, you either be sworn in now or we'll get you later. Cases will be taken out of order to accommodate the respondents that are here to present. As we move on, approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Okay, the first case we're going to hear tonight, we're going to hear these two out of order if you want to get your paper together. The third case and the last case. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yes, ready to go. First case is case number 180209, City versus Abdelkadir Najati for property located at 5217 Rainbow Drive. The case is before the board based on the alleged violation of section 12860, inoperative vehicle outdoor parts storage. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Silva. The city has evidence the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening. Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively January 17, 2018. The time my inspection revealed a tan Jaguar in the driveway with no tag. The time I issued a door hanger with a compliance date of January 22nd, 2018. An inspection on January 22nd, 2018 revealed no change, so I issued a notice of violation with a compliance date of February 1st, 2018. No one was home, so I posted the notice at the home as well as City Hall. Copies were mailed, both certified and regular mail, to the address. My inspection on February 5th, 2018 revealed the vehicle had a tag, so I brought the property into compliance. On February 21st, 2018, I observed a red Mazda pickup truck parked in front of the residence. I asked the PD to check the registration on the vehicle since it had an Arkansas tag that showed 2012 expiration date on it. The PD checked it for me and advised me the tag was expired and there was no registration record found for that vehicle. On 3/19, when I returned back to the residence, took a closer look at the original, the tag that had been placed on the vehicle when I brought the property into compliance, and it showed that the tag was an expired tag. I have 3 photographs taken by me. On March 14th, 2 of them are from the red vehicle, the Mazda pickup truck parked in front of the residence, and from March 19th, the Jaguar that's parked in front of the residence with the expired tag. I'd like to submit those as evidence.
Board will accept.
As of today, the property still remains out of compliance.
Has there been any other contact with the,
No, sir. The property owner's here tonight. This is the first time I've met him.
do you have anything to add?
Nothing else, sir.
Does the property owner want to address this?
Yes,
Okay, please come up, give your name, and be sworn in. Or be sworn in and then give us your name.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. There are 2
Name-
vehicles that was mentioned.
Name and address, please.
Nejadi Abdelkader, 5317 Rainbow Drive, Temple Terrace.
Are you resident at this property?
Yes, I've been resident for 23 years.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
The 2 vehicles in question, the Jaguar XJ696 and the Mazda.
Could you come a little closer to Mike?
To the mic, okay. The 2 vehicles in question, the Jaguar 97, which is a gold, and the Mazda, which is the red, are vehicles of my late wife's. She passed away, and the vehicles were under her name. They were part of the assets of the estate. They were going under probate. I couldn't do anything about it. The issue that I was encountering was that the will, they didn't have the original will. So the judge could not proceed with a copy of the will until they locate the witnesses and verify it. So I had no way of dealing with it at that time. Later on, I had to go overseas for another funeral of my father, so I couldn't really attend to the issues. However, I had both vehicles. The Jaguar was covered. It's in my driveway, it's covered, so I'm not sure really who removed the cover from it. It's been there since she passed away. The Mazda was just brought up from Arkansas, and I wasn't there to attend to it. So when I came home, I did not really find one citation. I found 3 of them. One in my mailbox, one on my door, and one I had to get to the mailman, had to make me sign the registered letter. So I'm not sure really how I need to proceed with this, because I just got the issue resolved with the probate, but it looks like there's still more litigation coming on. So I'm not sure really what I should just go register and insure it and then have a problem later on. So I'm just trying to see what can be done with this issue. It's not like I do not respect the laws of Temple Terrace. So I'm a resident of Temple Terrace. I want it to be clean. I want it orderly, and I want the rules to be respected. But I'm not sure who's removing the cover from my vehicle. Because if the vehicle was still covered, there would be no issue. I bought the cover, second one to cover it, but when I came back 3 days later, I found the cover under my vehicle and a citation on my door. So I'm not sure really what happened. I'm just saying to state the facts here as I know them.
Okay, first of all, I want to just state that we're very sorry for your losses,
Thank
your
you.
wife and your father. And our condolences are with you.
Thank you.
As to the removal of the cover, it's irrelevant to us as far as the case goes, because I'm sure that our people wouldn't have removed it. So,
No,
you know,
I'm not
just
in-
stating that. But the avenue, well, you mentioned the avenue of going and getting them licensed or getting them transferred into your ownership.
I was hoping that once this settles down, I would like to keep them at both vehicles because they're my wife's cars. And I have my niece, I want to give it to her, and she can drive it, so that way it's something
How-
that I could put to good use.
How long do you think it would take you to get this?
I'm still talking with my attorney, and I'm talking with my in-laws, which are really actually holding the whole issue. So I'm trying to resolve the issue as soon as I can, and I'm not sure really where it's going. It's been resolved as far as I'm concerned, but there are some litigation on the side going on, and it's off the record, so I'm not sure really how to handle it this time. I spoke with my attorney, and he said the board is going to be reasonable. They're going to hear your case, and they're going to give you some time to deal with this issue.
Right.
I didn't bring him with me because he's going to charge for his time, and I can't afford that right now.
Okay, I have another comment, but I
Sure.
think my colleague is going to ask the question. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Okay, please.
Again, condolences for your wife. When did she pass away?
2015.
2015. And both vehicles are in her name solely?
Uh, Yeah, they were on her name, yes, solely, yes.
And it
and
was
that's
the one,
fi-
even the one with the Arkansas tag?
That's a matter of public record.
Okay. And when were you planning on trying to give one of the cars to your niece?
As soon as I get this resolved.
Okay. Is that, and you said that the probate has been resolved?
Yes, well, as far as I know, it's resolved, and the case should be settled.
Okay.
But it looks like one of my in-laws is trying to reopen the case.
Okay. I do believe, and maybe code enforcement will be, I think the state allows you to sign an affidavit that the car is not going to be used or operated so that you don't have to put insurance on it, and they can give you some kind of temporary information. I think, I don't know if that'll come in compliance with the city code.
I appreciate
But
it.
that would keep you from having to get it licensed and registered completely for you. So again, I think you strongly should reach out to the code compliance officer. He mentioned this was the first time he'd seen you, it was tonight. So
Yes.
hopefully you'll open a dialogue there and get this resolved. You know, because again, whether someone's removing the cover or not, and the car's sitting there, we want to make sure that we know those vehicles belong there. And that's the only way we know is if they're valid, you know,
I understand.
and up to date.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Any other comments you would like to?
I do appreciate your time and compassion, and I'll try to resolve the issue as soon as I can.
Okay. Thank
Who
you.
am I supposed to be talking to?
Well, after, Mr. Silva will be talking to you,
Okay.
or before you leave tonight, if he's not the next one up, he'll talk to you before you leave.
All right, thank you so much.
He's got a
Appreciate your
question.
time.
Just a question.
Okay.
Should we
Mr. Napke?
Should we give him a time period to get it resolved in order for code officers to know how long to decide before they start going back and checking?
Okay, well,
Or do we do that?
we will do it at 30 days,
Okay,
and he can let us know if what progress is made.
okay.
We don't like to go out further than that with a
I understand,
deadline.
but it sounded like, go get it resolved, or try to get it resolved, but there wasn't any deadline for anybody to say when to come back or when not to come back.
Yeah, you got,
Trying to bring it in for some
Be
time.
part of,
you caught me on my question. That was the question I was gonna ask him, but,
and we'll make it part of our motion.
yes.
The motion will have a timeline and
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Silva, you have another question?
We never got to ask him one, that's why.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's a quick one.
I didn't hear any paper shuffling, so.
Just quickly, just for my own, if they cover the vehicle, is that,
is acceptable. But there's more to this story.
Okay.
I've been an inspector in that area since August. There's been 4 vehicles there at the residence. 3 of them were Jaguars. There was Jaguar parked in front of that red vehicle. As soon as the notice was delivered to the house, that Jaguar disappeared. That red truck has not moved since August when I came on, and there's not been a cover on any of those vehicles since August.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, you may.
And I drive that area every day.
Okay. All right, thank you.
One of the Jaguars is mine. I drive one of the Jaguars. The second one is my wife's. The third one, I don't have it anymore.
Okay,
So that should settle this issue. Thank you.
okay. All right. Can we get a motion?
I'll walk right out there since I had asked the questions.
Okay,
Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Jose Silva and Mr. Najati Abdelkader, and the evidence, presented to this board at this hearing and the documentary evidence received by this board, I make a motion that the board find Najati Abdelkader in case number 18-209 to be guilty of violating sections 12-860 of the city code and give the respondent until May 9th to come into compliance with code sections in question. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $50 per day shall begin to accrue on the day following and continue to accrue until the date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
motion by Mr. Lloyd, second by Mr. Newkirk. Any discussion? Is there a reason the fine is at $50?
Sure. One, for the length of time that they've been there. 2, I can't move it up to 2 weeks because it's just a simple registration and the probate supposedly have already been settled. So rather than decreasing the time, I increase the monetary amount.
Okay.
And since we're talking 2 vehicles in question, again, that added to that amount.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. What, come on up, please. What has been decided, excuse me. What has been decided is that you were, the case, you were found guilty in the case, and a fine of $50 per day will begin to accrue on May 10th if the case has not been brought into compliance, by meaning that you get tags on those 2 vehicles, okay? And Mr. Silva will explain a little more to you if you need more. It's best to talk with him, because he knows also what has to happen. You need to come into compliance or the fine will start accruing. Or you come to us and show us progress in May, on May 10th, that you have something through probate or through your attorney. Your attorney can help you with this too. He could probably get you all straightened out.
Well, the concern right now is the open new litigation. That's the concern. Otherwise, I would register them and have them.
Yeah, it would drag you out, yeah.
It's no problem. It's just why register and insure something that's going to be in litigation again?
Right.
That's the problem I'm having right now.
Well, we'll start with the 30 days and see where we go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Napi.
Just a comment, I wonder if you could have them loaded on a trailer and put in storage somewhere that gets into compliance, and it's clearly gonna be cheaper than $50 a day penalty. They can put it in
That's-
someplace in storage.
Yeah, there's alternate methods to that, and that's why I gave him till the May 9th. He can come before us and ask for an extension if he needs to be. Like I said, I believe there's an instrument within the state that allows you to get a vehicle and sign an affidavit and bring it into non-operating compliance. So I don't know that, but I'm sure he can look that up. And,
You need to tag for it to do that versus.
well, again, I'd have to look at the exact verbiage of the city code, but it might be as long as they give you a temporary tag that says the vehicle's not going to be driven, therefore it's in compliance, they're aware of it, it's sitting here.
And,
But
and,
that gives him opportunities, and May 9th, as Chairman pointed out, May 9th is key for him to come back in front of us.
in the process that we are in, we can make comments, but we can't direct.
Hold on, I wasn't trying to direct, I was just offering another alternative.
Right.
That get them put in the storage yard, it'd be a lot cheaper.
Right. Okay, thank you. Next case?
Next case, case number 180704, City versus Michelle L. Edelman and Angelo Ferlita for a property located at 6110 Liberty Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 12860 inoperative vehicle outdoor parts storage. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Buckland. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Steve Buckland with Code Compliance. This case originated back on February 26th of 2018 as a result of a citizen complaint about auto parts being stored in the driveway. The initial inspection of the property revealed multiple large drivetrain components that were being stored in the driveway in front of the carport. A door hanger was issued at the time with a reinspection date of March 2nd. A large four-wheel drive truck showed up on scene, observed vehicle repairs being accomplished, but as of March 14th, it appears that the repairs on the truck had come to a stop. There's two engine hoists around the vehicle and an engine on an engine stand right out in front of the carport. A notice of violation was issued on March 19th with a compliance date of March 30th. This notice was hand-delivered to Dale Charmaine, who is a resident there at the property. On March 30th, again, there was no change on the property, and at this time I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the vehicle in the driveway.
Board will accept.
At this time, the vehicle is still inoperative. It cannot move under its own power in the driveway, so the property still remains out of compliance. We have Mr. Ferlita is here also to speak on behalf of the property.
Okay.
I have a question for him, real quick.
Question?
You mentioned you handed it to, what was the name of the person you handed it to?
Dale Charmaine, I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
Is he
I
a
believe is
renter?
a resident there.
He's a resident?
Yes,
He's not a renter?
not a renter, no.
Okay. That's why I just wanted to get, I wanted to make sure it wasn't a rental thing there, so.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Buckland?
Did they mention why? Is it,
It's in the process, obviously, of replacing the engine. I mean,
okay.
it having some significant repairs being done to it.
Gotcha.
I could see some of that during the initial part of March. I could see progression happening, but we were receiving, multiple calls or emails from people in the neighborhood. And so it really brought to the forefront.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
He needs to be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. We're not married now, are we? I don't know that I can give you a whole lot of testimony because I don't live there. The truck belongs to my grandson who lives there with my daughter, Michelle Edelman. And he bought the truck just before they saw it there broken down. Drove it 3 days and blew the engine out of it. And so he bought another engine to put in it. He was going to try to replace it. And he's been in the process of doing that, but he also works. He is just turned 20 years old. He does have insurance on the vehicle. It's got a tag on it. He pays the insurance even though it sits there. He's trying to get it done as quickly as he can. He's bought another engine to put in it, as you've been told. And it's just a matter of getting it done when he's not at work. He works every day, and he works from 7 in the morning until about 6 in the evening. So he's doing it on the weekends. He's removed all of the equipment that they use to take the engine out, the blown engine, so that the engine lifts. I don't even know what you call these things. I heard somebody else call it something else. I know nothing about these things, okay? I usually pay somebody to do things like that to me. I don't know nothing about engines. But anyway, he claims to be a mechanic, and so he's trying to get it fixed himself. Besides that, it's costing him a bunch of money. And so he wants to get it done as quickly as he can, and right now he's bumming rides because he doesn't have a ride. So what I would hope is that you guys would give us enough time for him to get it done. I'm thinking, maybe 45 days rather than 30. 30 is going to be pushing him real tight, but, he's got the equipment, I think. My understanding, he's missing a wire harness, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't. But he's missing a wire harness. He's supposed to pick one up this weekend at a junkyard or something like that. And then he's got all the components. It's just a matter of getting it in there and getting it running again.
Is his intent, he's buying probably a rebuilt engine, and he's trading his old engine in, or somehow getting, is that still in the yard?
I don't know that.
I guess I'm gonna have to speak.
Is it? No, it's not.
That one's gone.
It's gone.
He sold that one.
Okay, well, that's an improvement.
Yeah, well, like I tell you, all the lifts and stuff are gone too, and for a while, the topper to the truck was on the ground, and that's up on the truck now. It's been cleaned up as much as it can, other than getting the engine back in it
Okay,
and getting it going.
okay. What we probably will do is give you a 30 days for May. And if you need to come back to us, then that's an avenue that, because we don't want to go out 45 days, 50 days, 60 days. We would
Whatever's your
would
procedure is
rather
fine
have
with me.
you
I just,
come back and give us an update than to take more time.
yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I doubt seriously it's gonna be done in 30 days. I don't know what it takes to do that kind of work, but I assume it's gonna take him a little bit of time to get it done.
Right.
Because like I said, he does it on weekends only because he works every day.
We have daylight saving time now, which is
Pardon?
helping him. We have daylight saving time now that helps him
No, I know
out,
that.
so that's
I
good.
know that. Isn't that
That's good.
wonderful?
Yes.
It used to be great. You could get on the golf course and play it in the afternoon, but now
He doesn't have time.
that doesn't work either.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just,
Mr.
again,
Shawn.
yeah, just, because it was a citizen complaint, just to verify, all the debris's been picked up and cleaned, it sounds like you've testified to. New
That's
engine,
my understanding.
new engine's
You
there,
can ask this gentleman. He goes.
new
by
engine,
and
and
looks at it.
you're testifying that he's gonna get this done and taken care of.
Yeah, oh, believe me, it's his ride.
Okay.
I mean, he's gonna get it running.
All right, so I just wanted to get that on the record.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, absolutely.
And, it's different reasons why we ask the certain questions, but
Yeah, believe me,
obviously,
if it were up to me, I would have already told him to sell it.
or paid someone to come there and fix it for him, right?
No, just sell the whole mess and go out and buy
We
something that's
appreciate-
worthwhile,
We appreciate your time.
All righty, guys.
Any other
questions?
questions? Mr. Snelling? Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And who are you talking? Tom, do you wish to speak?
Yes.
Mr. Director,
Tom Baroni, Code Director. I'd just like to add something here, and I don't normally make recommendations to the board, but when you get 3 complaints from neighbors that have to look at this every day and drive home every day and see this, I have a hard time with 45 days. So I'm not telling you what the board to do, but my recommendation to the board is only 15 days.
15?
15 days, because this has been going on since mid-February, and enough's enough. So that's my take, but you guys make the final call. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Can I ask one question? Is this a situation where a cover over the truck would bring it into compliance? Just curious.
No, I mean, he's doing major, extensive engine repair, that, we're not talking about a brake job, we're not talking about an oil change, tune-up. He's doing a major overhaul of a vehicle. No, I mean, he's got an engine on a hoist that's sitting in the front yard. I don't know about you, but if I was a neighbor, I wouldn't want to look at that every day.
So I guess I was not clear that, I thought everything but the car had been,
No, the
Taken
picture
out of the
shows the
yard.
engine on a hoist in the driveway. I've driven by there 5 or 6 times within the last month. It's sightly seen. I mean, I don't blame the neighbors for being upset about the situation. Originally, they thought he was running a business because the amount of vehicles that were there. But it looks like the kid is just making major engine work, and so I just feel enough's enough.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Lloyd.
and then this is where I'm fuzzy. I thought Mr. Buckland, Code Officer Buckland said most of the parts had been taken and cleaned up, and the only thing left was the truck itself and a couple of hoists. I didn't know the engine was in the car, is what I
Well,
understood. Okay, so I guess
So-
maybe I need a little more clarity on that
When
one.
I've driven by there 5
Yeah.
times in the last month, I've seen that engine on a hoist.
Yeah, I mean, you got transmission, drive shafts, I mean, it doesn't always match up. When you
Right,
buy an
exactly,
engine, you gotta do a lot of
exactly.
major work. I mean,
So,
it's been a long time since I've owned a car and done that kind of work, but I do remember those days.
and again, I'm not telling the board, I'm just making a recommendation to the board.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess, I'm sorry, Mr. Buckland, if you could maybe refresh my
Right, no,
memory.
it was Mr. Flea that was talking about the parts that have been removed from the property. The original engine that was pulled out, that was on the engine stand, appears to be, that one, the old engine has been gone. It's the new one it's on, right out there in front of the carport. I believe there is still one engine hoist that's left there, but now it's behind the truck instead of being out in front of it.
But there's only one engine that's waiting to go into the truck.
Right, that is
Okay.
correct.
There's not transmissions or drive shafts laying
No,
around.
the only other
or
thing is, like I
axles.
said, they have to come up with I think you might have the radiator is
Okay.
still out. Obviously, that'll come in after the motor's put in.
Okay.
Sir, do you wish to add anything?
I don't know about any of those parts, like I told you earlier. I just left there, I didn't see an engine, but I knew that the old engine had been ordered away. That must be the new engine that they're gonna put in.
Yes.
They have
okay.
to have something to put in it to get it going, I assume.
Sounds like
And
that.
the reason there were multiple cars, I think he had multiple friends helping him, is what it was. Some of his buddies came over to help him. I mean, I'm sure these things aren't light.
Pardon?
I said, I'm sure the engine wasn't light, I'm sure he
I'm
needed
sure
some
it's
guys to
not,
help him do
right.
it, but,
Okay.
all right.
Sworn in.
Michelle? Please be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I'm short. Sorry. First of all, whoever claimed that there were multiple cars, that is true. They actually worked for about 30 hours straight when the engine first blew. It was on a Friday evening to get that engine out as fast as possible so they could possibly start as quickly as possible to repair it so he could have a vehicle. I've been there 22 years now, and all of a sudden, I have a child that, like he said, thinks he's a mechanic. He's bought a few cars that he's had to do basic stuff on. This is a big job. He's trying as best he can to do it. He's not harassing anybody in the neighborhood or anything. And he does work on it as much as he can on the weekends and sometimes in the evenings. But right now, he has to get, I don't know anything about cars either, something flashed in order to get the wire harness this weekend. And then he's got my boyfriend, who is Dale, who he received the paperwork from the gentleman, who is going to actually help him and do the wiring for him as best as he can, you know, and try to not necessarily teach him, because it's just easier for someone else to try to do it himself, you know, do it for him. So, you know, 15 days is an extremely short amount of time for this whole thing, and nobody's trying to drag it out, believe me. I don't like leaving work early to pick him up when he gets off, or take him to work, or take him lunch because he forgot to pack it. It's not, you know, and he doesn't want his mom driving him everywhere either.
Okay. Any other questions? There being none, thank you. No questions all around? Call for a motion.
I'll do it.
Mr. Lloyd.
Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Steve Buckland, Code Enforcement Director Tom Baroni, Michelle Edelman, and Mr. Angelo Ferlita, presented to the board at this hearing and the documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find Michelle Edelman and Angelo Ferlita in case number 18-0704 to be guilty of violating section, where's the code here? Same one as the last one, sorry, 12-860 of the city code, and give the respondents until May 9th to come into compliance with the code section in question. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $50 per day shall begin to accrue on the following day and continue to accrue until the date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
Second by Mr. Stats,
And we'll clarify, if you'd like.
please.
I do appreciate Code Director Mr. Baroni requesting the 15 days. Again, I went higher. When I first saw this case and heard it, I was going to recommend a lower fine amount. So since I just don't think, based off the case that was before us tonight and the precedence that's there, I think stick with the 30 days and the $50.
Any other comments?
I appreciate his offer there, but I just would like to stay consistent.
We have a motion second, and we've had discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, gentlemen.
In your case, see how much we can get done in the 30 days, and we'll see on the 10th if you don't quite make it, but just keep in touch.
Oh, yeah.
If you can get it done sooner than 30 days, you make a lot of people happy.
That's
So I
right.
appreciate it.
You're not the only one that I'll have other people happy. I'd be thrilled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case.
Okay, we will go back to the first case. Case number 17-3282, City versus Bernard Patrick, Joseph Paul Charles, and Carmel Murray King and Jacqueline King Rooks for property located at 6702 East 113th Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 12860 inoperative vehicle outdoor parts storage. The case will be presented this evening by Officer Buckland. The city has evidence that the notice of hearing and notice of violation were properly served.
This is Steve Buckland with Code Compliance. This case originated actually back proactively on December 15th by myself. The initial inspection noted 3 vehicles present, all with license plates that expired in April of 2013. Obviously, vehicles had not been moved in quite a while. The door hanger was issued with a reinspection date of December 29th, 2018. Received a phone call shortly thereafter from Carmel King, who advised that the vehicles were going through prorate, and we agreed to a January 31st for inspection, and I just recommended to her that she at least wash the vehicles and move them around the driveway, so appearance-wise, it would look much better. On February 1st, I hadn't seen any kind of activity, called and left a voicemail for an update on the probate progress, but did not receive a return call. On March 2nd, I again called and left a voicemail message for an update on the probate progress, but did not receive a return call. On March 2nd, a notice of violation was issued. Unfortunately, it had an incorrect address on it, and a corrected notice of violation was issued on March 12th with a compliance date of March 23rd. posted the notice of violation at the front door of the residence and also at City Hall, and requested a copy be sent via certified and regular mail. My return inspection on March 29th revealed that there was no change to the first 3 vehicles, and now a 4th vehicle is in the driveway with a flat tire. And at this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the different issues that we had there.
Board will accept.
Exhibit number 1 shows the 2 cars with the expired tags from the viewing it facing toward the west. Exhibit number 2 shows the white truck and then the car with the flat tire. Exhibit 3 just kind of shows the placement of the vehicles in the driveway. Exhibit number 4 shows the license plate on the truck with the expired tag. Exhibit 5 shows the license plate on the south-facing car with the expired license plate. And exhibit number 6 shows the license plate of the north-facing car. As of today, the vehicles are still in that driveway. I did receive a return call from Carmel King, actually this afternoon, advised that she still is still working through the probate, does not have ownership of those vehicles, didn't feel that she could move the vehicles or do anything with them. I told her that being the property owner, that she does have the power to go ahead and move those vehicles around while they're still going through the process. And I also recommended to her that, look at maybe an off-site location where those vehicles could be put. She was asking for some additional time. She was initially going to look at, trying to get an additional 2 months' worth of time to get the vehicles moved. I would certainly not want to push it out for 2 months. I think we need to keep a closer rein on it. It would certainly, expect, I understand that there's a hardship involved there and that the probate process can be very lengthy. So I can understand that part of it, and I could certainly see a lower fine than even what we've seen this evening being imposed, but I can't see going 2 months at this point unless she wants to appear and ask for additional time later.
Question, when you look up the tags, are these tagged to, they're in probate, but are they tagged to one owner?
I don't know, because I have not run the license plates.
Okay.
They were just initially, they were just all in the driveway, and obviously had not been moved in a lengthy period of time. One of them her brother was one that was involved in a fatal bicycle crash up on Fletcher. Would have been mid-year last year. So I don't know if if the estate had moved him to him and now there was a second probate, or how that's coming into play at this point. But I think it's, for her, in discussing it with her, that yes, she would have the capability of having it moved to an off-site location while they continue going through the probate process with me, because she does not have enough room in the garage to put the vehicles inside.
I appreciate your attempt to cooperate and offer some kind of resolution. It stands well for the city. It really does.
Thank you.
That's a lot of cars.
It's
And-
it's a full driveway. It is a problem for her, and I don't know if because of the, circumstances surrounding the vehicles, whether that's creating a much more of a mental weight that's possibly slowing it down. I don't know, but I'm trying to, work through to come up with some type, as long as I can keep the communication avenues open, to work with her to try getting it someplace other than where they're at right now, until they can get the, whatever title work needs to be done to get it moved around.
Okay, Sean, do you have a question? Mr. Lloyd?
No, I mean, it's a difficult situation.
It is.
They're not blocking the side, I don't believe they're blocking the sidewalk.
No.
They're parked on the correct surface.
Right.
They're not on a side yard, they're not on in the street, so, it's,
It's almost like,
You said the tags were from 2013,
Correct.
so how can this be in probate for 5 years?
it can be a long time in probate.
Actually, I think it was 3 of 2014, I think is the actual dates on it. I think it was March of 14. Yeah, I've heard, stories of anywhere from 6 months to a couple of years when, we're talking probate as far as who they have to find and what they have to, justify to be able to change, the title on a piece of property.
And like the previous case where it's being contested, it drags it way out.
It just seems like the cars haven't been driven for 4 years. I mean, it seems.
Yeah. And again, back to family dynamics, depending on how fast and how much effort they're putting into getting it done, whether or not there's some emotional ties that are coming into play there. I don't know if there is or not.
Thank you, Mr. Snelling. Mr. Napke?
Do we know if there's really a deceased in this? Do we know the name of probate or anything?
No, and that's things, I cannot pull up probate documents online like I can a lot of the other court, like say if there's a foreclosure, I can pull that up online. Cannot pull probate documents or death certificates, things like that. You cannot pull them up online. You have to go in person to be able to get those documentations.
Being in the business that I'm in, funeral home, generally probate, even in a contested ugly thing, doesn't get to 2 years. I'm not doubting what you're saying or anything, but I think we're being snowed under.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a case of if the prior owner, if it went through probate and became ownership of the brother that died last year. Those are some of the possibilities, but I don't have anything to substantiate that.
Yeah, I would hope that we would have the resources to some way find out that information or require them to tell us. Otherwise, we could hear this story for everybody, just to get more time, or feel sorry. I mean, if they've had a loss, I'm as compassionate about that as anybody. But on the other hand, give me something to believe it with, too.
Mr. Lloyd?
And to Board Member Nopke's point, this is could be, who knows? And we might see everybody come in with this. Maybe we can leverage the city attorney to see what is there something you can do on behalf of the city to find out about these probates, if there's validity to these cases? Does that come under your purview?
If you go to the clerk's office, you can look up the records. You just can't, they do not show them to you online. You have to go down to the county records and look.
Anybody can do that?
Anybody should be able to look. It should be public record. What we could ask of these people is that they provide a copy of the death certificate. Since they're in probate, they should certainly have one. And they should be able to provide us a copy of the registration. It should have been in the, in the car or in the personal effects there. So, I mean, if we could at least match up the old registration with the death certificate, at least we'll know that that part is true.
And the case number. I mean, if they've filed in probate, they've got a case number. And whoever's managing that case should be able to give that. Give us the case number.
Maybe we should, sort of like when we ask for see if properties are homestead or not, maybe if we know these cases have these evidentiary extenuating circumstances, that we bring that, we bring it to us.
Well, if they offer it up to us as a reason why they can't move it or whatever, as we've heard, I think twice tonight so far, okay, fine. Who died? Our condolences. Are they the vehicle owner or not? What's the case number? Some more information about what
Microphone?
I thought it was on, I'm sorry. The little, anyhow, ask for the information, ask for who died, when they died. If it's been filed, is there probate or not? The answer is simple, yes or no, it's not maybe. If it has been filed, what's the case number? And what court is it in? Is it in Hillsborough County Court, is it in Pinellas County? Where is it? Because it could be any court in the country and be in probate if the owner died out in Colorado somewhere. I mean, it can be anywhere.
I hear you. Now, I'm going to be counter to that. According to Mr. Buckland, if it's some kind of grieving process that they're going through, whether it's a year or 2 years, if I'm that person, I'm going to look at you and say, it's none of your business. You go down to the courthouse and look it up yourself. I was the one that started the process of saying that. I'm just trying to vet the whole thing here. So, I mean, again, that's right. We don't know the state of what that is. So that's why I was just asking, is it something the city attorney, is it something we can do? Anybody can go look it up And to that point, we might ask them those questions, but I don't know if we really want Mr. Buckman going,
I'm not
and the
saying.
front doorstep.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, he can offer his condolences from the city, but in order to give you the time that you need, we need your help.
Right.
Who,
Well,
who
so-
pa-
Well, some of that too, and the other side to it is, the vehicles can't stay there. And we understand if it's in probate, but there's, just like we talked about the other one, there are other avenues, and that's something that I've already discussed with her in as far as whether or not a storage facility needs to see proof of ownership, and usually you want to see the owner drop in the car to be stored, so they're aware that they're not storing a stolen vehicle.
Right.
But that's what I mentioned to her was that, well, that's fine. Take a copy of the registration that should be in the motor vehicle. Take a copy of the death certificate showing the owner and that you're storing the vehicle so that you can show something to be able to drop it. And then if I need to talk to the people at the storage facility saying, yes, it's code telling her that she cannot keep the car on her property to help justify that it's, yes, in this case, it's all right to store those cars there. That's something that I went over with her this afternoon. Because that's bottom line what we want. We want either the vehicles registered or we want them off the property, someplace
Right,
other
and
than where
there,
they currently
there
are.
may be other options rather than enclosed storage. It's just some yard, like where they store recreational vehicles for half of the year,
Right.
things like that. So there are options, and I appreciate that you're letting her know, or the person know, some of these options.
Right.
But we're willing to help them. We need them to help themselves as well.
Right.
So, any other questions? Ask for a motion.
Sure.
Sean, it's Sean's night tonight. Mr.
Based on the
Lewis.
testimony of Code Compliance Officer Steve Buckland presented to the board at this hearing and documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find Bernard Patrick King, Jacqueline King Rowe, Joseph King, Paul Charles King, and Carmel Marie King in case number 17-3282 to be guilty of violating section 12-860 of the city code, give the respondents until May 9th to come into compliance with the code sections in question. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $50 per day shall begin to accrue on the May 10th, the day following, and continue to accrue until the date the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Newkirk. Any discussion? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, motion carries.
Next case is case number 173351, City versus Falcon Investment Corp. of Tampa, located at 7916 Tangerine Drive. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 8, 10213P, structural supports duty to maintain. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Silva. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening. Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively December 21st, 2017 during the neighborhood sweep. During that sweep, my inspection revealed a support column to the carport damaged at the unit. At this time issued a door hanger with a compliance date of January 2nd, 2018. On January 2nd, 2018, prior to conducting my inspection, I was contacted by the tenant at the location who requested an additional time to fix the support column at the unit. I gave him till January 18, 2018 to fix that support column. I conducted an inspection on February 6, 2018, which time there was no change. The column was not fixed, so I issued a notice of violation with a compliance date of March 3rd, 2018. No one was home, so I posted the notice at the home as well as City Hall, and copies were mailed certified and regular mail to the address. On February 15th, I received an email from the property management company requesting additional time to advising me that they should have it completed by the compliance date of March 3rd. On March 19th, I received a second email from the property management requesting additional time to complete the repairs. I gave them till March 26th to complete those repairs. On March 27th, I conducted an inspection. There was no change. The column was still damaged. This time, I'd like to submit photographs of the damaged support column to the carport. There's 2 photographs. One's of the column, and then there's a close-up to the,
Board will accept. Has the column been driven into and pushed off its mooring? Is that what's going on?
Excuse me, sir?
The bottom of the,
bottom of the column is pushed out. I conducted an inspection on April 5th, and it has come into compliance. They have repaired, so I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
wonderful. Board will accept. Finding. Can I get a motion for this case? Mr. Snelling. Hang on to your seats, guys.
I'll try and stumble through this. Based on the testimony of.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, the green light means it's on, right?
Pull it forward.
Get close to it.
All right. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Jose Silva, presented to the board at this hearing, and the documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find Falcon Investments Corporation of Tampa in case number 17-3351 to be guilty of violating sections 8-102 subsection 13 subsection P of the city code, but because the property was brought into compliance before the date of this hearing, no fine shall be assessed.
Second by Mr. Napke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Good job.
Let me turn my mic.
Next case, case number 180210, City versus Joy Marie Austin and Nicole Lee Height for property located at 611 West River Drive. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of section 12860, an operative vehicle, outdoor parts storage. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Silva. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively January 17, 2018. My inspection at the time revealed a green Plymouth van with a flat tire parked in the driveway of the residence. This time I left a door hanger with a compliance date of January 22nd, 2018. My inspection on January 25th, 2018 revealed no change, so I issued a notice of violation with a compliance date of February 5th, 2018. No one was home, so I posted a notice at the home as well as City Hall, and copies were mailed, both certified and regular mail, to the address. My inspection on February 13th, 2018 revealed the vehicle was removed from the driveway of the residence, so I brought the property into compliance. On March 1st, while driving north on West River Drive, I saw a second inoperative vehicle tucked into the side yard behind a privacy fence at the location. This time, I would like to submit a photograph taken by me on March 1st of the inoperative vehicle in the backyard.
The board will accept.
I conducted another inspection today at the residence, and that vehicle has been removed, so the residence has come into compliance.
Very good. Board will accept. Any questions for Mr. Silva? A motion, please?
I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll take the chance.
I'm sorry.
based on the testimony of Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer presenting the case, presented to the board this evening, at this hearing, and the documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find Joy Marie Austin and Nicole Lee Height in case number 180210, guilty of violating sections 120860 of the city code, but because the property was brought into compliance before the date of the hearing, no fine shall be assessed.
Second by Mr. Stats. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next case, case number 180576, City versus CSH 2016, 2 Bar LLC for property located at 5305 East 127th Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 12922A, parking, commercial vehicle, and residential zone. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Buckland. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Steve Buckland with Code Compliance. This case originated back on February 19th, 2018 as a result of a citizen complaint. The initial inspection by Director Baroni revealed 3 vehicles parked on the grass in the morning, and later in the day, a commercial truck and a large black trailer were parked in the driveway of the residence. 3 door hangers were issued with the compliance date of February 22nd. My inspection on February 22nd revealed that the trailer was still present, but the commercial truck had been removed. A reinspection on February 28th revealed both truck and trailer were back on the property, therefore a notice of violation was issued with a compliance date of March 8th. The notice was posted at the front door of the property at City Hall, and I requested a copy be sent via certified and regular mail to the owner and registered agent of the property. On March 27th, Director Baroni observed the commercial truck was back in the driveway, took a photograph of the violation. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence of the violation.
Board will accept.
Yes, and as the image depicts, it is clearly a large commercial truck. It is a mobile repair business is what the truck is for. That is a rental property, and I did have a chance to speak with the owner of the truck personally to explain to him that, one, that, that truck cannot be there. The trailer that was there initially was also a dual axle with a winch on it, kind of a car carrier type trailer. And also advising that that can also be at the property either. Since March 29th, I've kept an eye on the property and have not seen either the truck or the trailer show back up on the property. So this time I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Thank you. Board will accept. Any comments, questions?
I noticed there's a pretty elaborate driveway there. Was that put in for the use of parking something rather large there? Or
No,
was that just,
that was there prior.
okay. I
That's
just
been,
was-
that was part of the, I believe, part of the original
Property.
driveway
Okay.
configuration.
I saw the Scottsdale, Arizona address, so that's why I didn't know if it was, they were running a franchise-type business out of the.
No, no, the address of the owner, it's a rental property.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're not affiliated other than renter and tenant.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Westfall,
I got it. Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Steve Buckland, presented to the board at this hearing and the documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find CSH 2016 2 Borrow LLC in case number 18-0576 to be guilty of violating sections 12-922A and of the city code, but because the property was brought into compliance before the date of the hearing, no fine shall be assessed.
second by Mr. Newkirk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
unfinished business. Case number 2786, City versus Anthony D. and Marcina L. Bobo for property located at 7501 Okeechobee Court. An affidavit of noncompliance for Section 810213C and 810213B was submitted by Officer Silva dated March 15th. Case number 173269, City versus Timothy L. Madison for property located at 5301 Rainbow Drive. An affidavit of noncompliance for Section 81022 and 81021 was submitted by Officer Silva dated March 15th. Case number 173129, City versus Mohammed F. Apkudir for property located at 11718 North 51st Street. An affidavit of compliance for Section 1034 was submitted by Officer Buckland dated March 23rd. Case number 173348, City versus Meadowwood Unit 101 LLC for property located at 8015 Peach Drive. An affidavit of compliance for Section 8 10213C was submitted by Officer Silva dated March 15th. Case number 1848, City versus Rictavia Shawan and Rio Laney M. Green for property located at 217 South River Hills Drive. The expiration of compliance is tonight at midnight. Officer, no, that's fine. Expiration of compliance is tonight at midnight. Case number 18399, the City versus Thrasher Investments LLC for property located at 108 Holland Avenue. An affidavit of compliance for Section 104B3 was submitted by Officer Buckland dated March 22nd.
Thank you.
And then a case not on the agenda is case number 171667, City versus Berkeley Capital LLC, located at 511 Carolyn Street. An affidavit of compliance for Section 103B was submitted by Officer Buckland dated March 16th, 2018.
Great. I have a question, and this is just for my benefit. On these cases that we've heard tonight, each one of them gets a immediate notification?
Yes, they will be mailed an order. The ones that were found in compliance will receive an order of finding, telling them, it will also inform them what happens if a repeat occurs. And then those that are not in compliance will receive an order. So
Okay.
those, that paperwork will be signed by the chairman, and then it will go out by Friday or Monday. So they
Okay.
will receive it pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you. Other board action? At this point, what I want to do, because it's kind of our lien reduction petition time, give just a brief report on our 104 Mission Hills. They've been pulled.
Yeah. Just to update you with that lien reduction, I reached out to the contractor, Ahmad, yesterday, and just to find out whether he was going to be here tonight, just to make sure and stuff. And he advised me that he was in the hospital in Kentucky with flu-like symptoms, and he's flying his wife from Tampa to Kentucky. And he sounded like he was in a lot of pain and stuff, so he requested that we pull this from the agenda. He also mentioned something about bringing somebody else to speak in his behalf, but I thought that would not be a great idea. So I'd rather hear from him or the owner, and there's a language barrier with the owner, so I just felt that that was the best decision, was to pull it from.
Consistency is good.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So, and to update you with 6620 Jennifer Drive, the city attorney will present an update there with that property.
Okay. Before we leave,
Okay.
before we go there, I would like to just make a couple of comments for the board
Okay,
on 104 Mission Hills.
sure.
This case was heard at the council meeting 2 weeks ago now,
Yes.
or so. And it was returned to us. There was a counter reduction or a different presentation than what the board had heard, and so, or the council had heard, and so they returned it back to us to hear. And that's been postponed tonight. So we will be hopefully hearing it next month on
No, actually, April, or May, the next hearing, right, May 9th, right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm
You're
sorry
welcome.
for the interruption.
No, it's all good. Pam?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I can talk from here.
Name, please.
Pam Shoshone, City Attorney. With regard to 6620 Jennifer Drive, it's case number 170092. This is, has been pulled off your agenda and is not going to be coming back. Initially, this case had been handled by code inspector who no longer works for the city. So what the current code inspectors and the director did is to go back and review the file, the history, the dates, and everything that has happened in this case. And what it was determined was that this board had told the person who had acquired it from the bank, and I think that there was a lien that had been imposed while the bank was actually owning the property. They did pay something on that lien already, so the city has gotten some money with regard to this property already. This board told the later owner to, because of the violations, to pull permits, which he did within the time limit that the board told him to do that. He then was working on all of these issues under an open permit. Therefore, our view of the case now and henceforward is that if somebody is working to bring violations into compliance under an open permit, that their fine is not going to continue to run during that time. If the permit expires and they haven't done anything, then that would be a situation where a fine should then probably be imposed, or at least be considered. However, the owner now that we were dealing with, he has since sold the property. Therefore, we have a new owner who is sitting with a property with a lien on it. So we, in discussion with the past owner, who owned the property when the lien was recorded, I settled this up with him. He has paid the city's costs. He's happy, the city is happy, and our suggestion is that this case be dismissed.
Thank you. And that's,
And in fact, we more than got our costs paid, considering the money that was paid by the bank and that was then paid by Mr. Roble.
okay. Mr. Stats.
So, just so we're clear, the city went back after our hearing, reevaluated the case, and made their own decision.
We reevaluated the case that probably should not have been brought to you with regard to these issues in the first place, because this person complied with what he was told to do, and an affidavit of compliance should have been presented, and that should have been it. There should never
wasn't there
have been the
multiple-
running of this $16,000 fine during an open permit.
But there was multiple violations on this property. It wasn't
And-
just one about a permit.
That's right, but he was fixing the other ones under that same permit.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
And they were brought into
Hang on a
compliance.
second. Okay. First of all, I was uncomfortable with the way how this was presented to us at the last meeting, okay? And the fact that it was the third case and the instrument that was used was being questioned, not before we heard the first two, but the third. Secondly, I had 5 people that live near this property, when I'm at the grocery store, come up to me about this property, okay? Because the property was in such disrepair. And it was about termites, and it was about the exterior. And that property was brought into compliance. However, we questioned the lien reduction at the time because there were no walls inside the house. There was exposed electrical wiring. So I was like, well, how can the house be brought into compliance and be brought to us for a lien reduction? One, it wasn't the owner listed on the property. Two, it had outstanding issues, so why are we even hearing the case as a lien reduction, which is the amount you're referring to that the city got paid that really shouldn't have been a lien reduction, it should have been an ongoing fee. The second thing I hear tonight is if someone has an open permit, regardless of the violation, we can't fine them? Is that what you're saying?
It depends on what the violation is. But if the things that are in violation are being repaired under that permit, I mean, I can get a permit to rehab a whole entire house. So that's going to cover a lot of things. If they've got an in-op vehicle out front, surely that's not under the permit and they can be cited for that. But this person that we had been dealing with at the meeting last time did not create these conditions. He bought a distressed property from a bank, and the bank ended up with a lien imposed against it because it owned it just long enough for that lien to be recorded.
I stand to correct you on that, and maybe we can pull the minutes. He bought the property knowing full well that it was in violation, okay? He bought the property, we questioned him on it. And we know this because the property sat out of compliance for quite some time, and that's how come I had citizens chasing me down the produce aisle at Publix, asking me about this case.
Remember, that case was actually pulled late December.
Yeah.
And because there was no status change, no permits, the building department had to get involved in everything. They had to chase them to get this going. And basically, the problem we have is that for the city to come in after we've heard all of it and basically undermine everything that we've done on it, that's where I've got the big problem.
Yeah, I mean,
You've
what,
decided the fees, and all, I mean, if you guys are gonna do that, you don't need us
right,
up here. You don't need us.
right.
It's,
Oh, and then I have a problem with this whole open permit because we're a city known for trees. So I pull a permit for a tree, the tree doesn't get removed, but I'm not gonna get fined even though I run past the violation date because I got an open permit. I mean, that's a precedence we're setting. And if that city's making those decisions without us, I'll take my 3 or 4 hours back every month and go do something else. But I mean, that's a concern I have. Basically, as a quasi judicial board, we basically just got undermined on our authority.
and we actually are the watchdog of the citizens and the city. And basically, we have to go back to the citizens now and say, well, what we rolled on was completely just taken away, and the city decided to impose their own fines.
No, the city.
I don't agree with any of it, to be honest with you.
The city didn't decide to impose its own fines. If in the future, if you are going to finally, whether you chase somebody down or not really is irrelevant. That's all before it comes to you. That's something that if staff presents to you and they think is an exacerbating factor, they can throw that out to you and you can then use that as evidence. But if you decide in the course of hearing a case and you tell somebody to go get a permit and you give them a time limit and they go get the permit during the time limit, which in this case they did, we've got the dates.
It was months.
The
mean, this thing
permit-
was out of compliance for months.
It doesn't matter that it was out of compliance for months. That is
Sure
not.
it matters. They're in violation every
Not-
day that it's out until they go get it. So to get back city costs, what about the days they're not in compliance that they're being fined?
You haven't yet found how many days they were in compliance if this case hasn't been brought to you yet. The
So,
fine doesn't start running
pull a
before it
permit,
comes to
And it
you.
goes away. That's basically what.
It's
what we're
all
like.
based on timing. It isn't out of compliance and you haven't imposed any fines before the date it comes to you. Like today, you can impose a fine starting 30 days running from now, but you can't impose a fine from 2 months ago, even though the car was sitting in the driveway without a permit for 2 months in the past.
The other thing too is, how did the property, why are we going after the new owner when the lien was intact on the previous owner?
We're
So
not
why-
going after the new
Well, you
owner.
just said we had to talk to the new owner about the property,
No,
which makes no
I'm
sense.
talking about the owner that bought it from the bank,
Okay,
the person who was here last
the
month.
investment company.
And you questioned last month is why are you here? Because you don't own the property
Correct.
anymore. Well, he was here because he has standing. That money that's sitting there to pay the lien that's perhaps why you didn't decide it last month is you said, where's the money? That was irrelevant, where's the money? It didn't matter whether it was
It
sitting
should have a
in,
dirty title on the property.
the money didn't matter whether it was sitting in escrow with the title company or if it was in the man's pocket. So that was irrelevant last month. And so now,
But it is relevant.
it's going to get paid somehow. It doesn't matter where the money is sitting. But
We didn't even know about it. That's the big issue here. We didn't even know it had closed. We didn't even know where the 16,000, we didn't know if it was escrow. We didn't know anything.
that's right,
But
nobody
we have a new
told
owner
us.
taking title to it, and nobody knows anything about it.
The new owner is sitting with a house with a lien on it.
Exactly.
So the
And-
old
and we just-
owner, the man who sold it to him, was trying to clear up that problem. And that's why he was here. And since that money that the title company was sitting with belongs to the person who sold the property, or it belongs to the city, depending on what happens with the lien, that's why he was here trying to clear that up. However, as I said, after we went through all this, if you are fixing all of the violations, the ones that come before you, the ones that are later discovered, if all of the violations are being repaired under an open permit, how can you possibly find somebody for that? They're working and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
If it's not done in a timely manner.
And your permit and the building official will tell you what your timely manner is. You told him to go get a permit.
The timely manner is established by our motion, and I believe there was a timeline. And just for the record, I want to get clarification. You said that there was a zero amount that was now not going to be pursued by the city, so therefore you did
No.
assess a new fine amount.
I didn't
Because
s-
if you said there's no fine now, and we said there was a fine, then you did make a finding that you adjusted, you said it was a zero fine. I
I'm
mean, that's-
telling
that's-
you,
Take a
I'm
break
telling
now.
you that there should not have ever been a fine because he complied under an active permit. If the permit had expired and still his work was not done, then he would be back here facing a very large fine.
So you're
But
saying the fine on the first amount, that he was, the very first permit for the soffit, the exterior, there shouldn't have been a fine?
not when you instruct him to go get a permit
So
to
why was the
fix it.
property brought in compliance then?
That violation should have been brought into compliance.
It was a
If there
separate
were
case.
if there were
It was a
additional.
separate case.
If there were, yes,
Didn't we
a
hear
separate
reduction on this-
case.
On something else? He already had one reduction before, correct?
Right.
No, he was here, but the question, you said you wouldn't give him a reduction because other things were found. Those should be new cases. You can't just keep tacking things on and tacking things on to an old case number.
End of case.
Yeah.
Mr. Barone.
Let me just shed some light on this. And thank you for your input. I understand your frustration, but the inspector that initially initiated this case and the director are no longer with the city. Okay, so it's very difficult to look back and reopen this whole thing and rehash the whole thing out when that inspector is no longer here. So what I'm gonna tell you is, based on last month, when I prepare a lien reduction, I just take the paperwork that's in front of me, the numbers that are in front of me, and then I use the matrix that's presented with the numbers and the figures, and that's how I come out with my numbers. But over the weekend, I went deeper into the case. I looked and analyzed, and I opened up Omar's cases, and I looked at this case. And the permit was pulled under the 30 days that the board gave the owner, that 30 days after the hearing. He went and pulled a permit for the structural supports and drywall. Okay, so that really puts those two other violations in compliance. Now, I don't make up this decision. I went to city staff. I went to the building official, and he said, yes, that is the right thing to do. So we're not just trying to make this stuff up and present this in front of you. This is what the building official is telling us. So if you look at those two other violations, the permits in violation, the permits in compliance, and so are those two other violations. So there should really never been a running fine.
Okay.
I have a question for him.
keep it.
Someone, please answer a simple question. Was the outstanding lien different case number that had a dollar amount satisfied?
Yes, the lien is being removed from this property.
So we're talking about the first case that dealt with the exterior of the property, not the one you're talking about, the permit. Was the first case ever satisfied by the lien? Was the lien ever satisfied?
The one with the bank?
I think Wells Fargo.
Yes.
Yes.
And do we know, since we don't seem to know how much, do we know how much of the lien was paid?
At least half of the lien was paid.
Okay, and that was determined by who?
That was determined by negotiations with the bank so that we don't get into litigation with the bank because the lien was showing up on every single property that Wells Fargo was dealing with.
So now, this parlays into why do we need to have a lien reduction?
Yeah.
Why do you need us?
Okay.
I just want-
I mean, honestly, that's the question.
I mean,
Let-
I just got. go ahead.
Let me just stop this right here. The city administrator is going to be at our next meeting in May, so I ask you all to be here, and we'll hash this stuff out. If we send a $16,000 lien reduction, even if we had accepted it, to the city council, and they're gonna say, what's the matter with you guys? You know, we're dealing with some old baggage here that we gotta get worked through. And your comments are legitimate, but I think if you all will bear with me and be here on May 9th, we'll prepare for a long night. Maybe we'll even have pizza.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll be here, but I would like to request the minutes and every single hearing that this property was brought before the board, going back as far as we can, and whatever liens were imposed, whatever dollar amounts were negotiated, and whatever findings. I'd like to have all that information so that I'm not surprised and I have time to review that before our meeting. And I think that's only relevant.
Kristen, is that something we can do?
Yes.
Ms. Joan, can you help us with that? Thank you. Mr. Barone?
No, I have nothing further. I mean, I just, I know there's some members that are a little agitated and,
Well, and
you know.
rightly so, but what, hopefully in May, we can get through this growing, whatever you call it, this thing that's been eating us up. And it started, we'll go back to the calculator, those kinds of things, and the calculator's view by the council, and the calculator view by us. And we're going to be here until, if it has to be midnight, we'll stay.
okay,
Okay?
okay.
I mean, like I said, my concern is precedence. I deal, in my line of work, I deal with compliance, consistency, transparency. And I can tell you right now, none of those three do I see in this map. I don't see it.
We'll-
I got one thing on this. Does council not have to approve that being reduced? Because we put it in at 16,000, does council not have to approve that being dropped?
It isn't your usual reduction. This isn't just a reduction in lien. This is me trying to explain to you why there should never have been one in the first place. You're talking about being a quasi-judicial board. It's no different than if a prosecutor stands before a judge, and even though there's been numerous hearings on somebody's crime already, the prosecutor stands up and says, we shouldn't be prosecuting this someone. We found new evidence. We found who really did the crime. There could be a million other reasons, but stands up in front of the judge and says, we are dropping the charges. It's like that. So once they drop the charges, the judiciary has nothing more to say about it.
This is a narrative that I think could be at the May meeting. She's answered his question about the money, whether the city council approved or not. This extra narrative, to me, is pointless at this time. I'll be happy to hear it at the May meeting when I have all the evidence in
And
place.
she will be meeting. The question was asked, and she was given the
only other
opportunity
thing
to respond.
I'd bring up too, as long as we're under this, is I think we need to re-look at, we need to re-look at our legal.
Yeah, we need a.
Because we've had a couple instances over the past couple months here where there's been some legal mumbo jumbo thrown our way that I don't really feel excessively comfortable with being a volunteer on a quasi judicial board, as we put it. So I think that, I don't know what process we got to go through it. We had one before. It's probably time to bring one back, if that's what we're going.
And to go with Jamie's sentiment, I think it needs to be here for the May meeting.
That's what I'm saying.
Otherwise, the May meeting needs to be pushed back.
Yep.
Because we don't have proper legal counsel to advise us on decisions or questions or any of the things that we should be asking or the things that we should get answered. And so if we can't have an attorney by the May meeting,
Yeah.
then to me, the city administrator needs to reschedule it.
That comment is exactly legitimate, because Ms. Chacon is the representative of the city, not the representative of the board. So for you, you're doing, I commend you for what you've just been through, but that's the division, and we need to get, that's one of the things that we'll take up. And what I'll do is try and convey some of this before, to the administrator before me. And if we have to postpone it, we can probably postpone the 104 Mission Hills case another month, because they are tied together.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable talking about any of this without legal representation, and if we don't have it, then I can't. Of course, I can't per se that I would even participate in May's meeting if we don't have legal
Yes.
representation.
Well, not
Okay.
if they're going to go this avenue behind us, no.
Once we get, once we get an attorney for us, then have a workshop so we can bring him up to speed on our frustrations. So, Kristen, can we move on?
Yes. I have two affidavits for the liens list review. I have two affidavits of continuing, of compliance tonight, compliance. This is the same owner, case number 152858, City versus Craig Brunstein, 418 Ferncliff Avenue, and also for the repeat case, 161752. Both Craig Brunstein are in compliance.
You're kidding me. Did I hear that right?
You sure did.
152858?
Mm-hmm. And 161752.
Thank you.
So all of his cases are in compliance now.
Wonderful.
I have affidavits of continuing noncompliance for case number 05557B, City versus Jeffrey Rhodes and Vernica L. Rhodes, 708 Grand Circle. Case number 080292, City versus Christopher B. York, 7604 Leon Avenue. Case number 121424, City versus Stella M. Hunley Harrison, 9603 Overlook Drive. Case number 145858, City versus Melissa A. Gazzola, trustee 13203 Sanctuary Cove Drive, Unit 304. Case number 151689, City versus Iman Osman and Asma Alzine, 12415 North 59th Street. Case number 152510, Coyley Berry Jr., 114 North 52nd Street. Case number 16300, City versus Stella M. Hunley Harrison, 9603 Overlook Drive. Case number 16491, City versus Richard D. Warren and Deborah L. Warren, 108 Mission Hills Avenue. Case number 160561, City versus Estate of James Edward Hinkle Jr., 7504 Gadsden Drive. Case number 162397, City versus Dudley Black, 9408 Hidden Ridge Place. Case number 170403, City versus J.H. and Betty Morris, 12902 North 53rd Street. Case number 170469, City versus Nathan A. Meyer, 107 South Greenfield Avenue. Case number 171519, City versus Elizabeth Graham and Sharon Callahan, 10317 North 53rd Street. Case number 171592, City versus Timothy L. Madison, 5301 Rainbow Drive. Case number 171669, City versus Resi SFR Sub LLC, 605 West River Drive. Case number 171871, City versus Zoe McIlwain, 402 Dunedin Avenue. Case number 172440, City versus James B. Burns, 602 Courtney Drive. Case number 172613, Dudley Black, 9408 Hidden Ridge Place. Case number 172737, City versus Betty Owens, 505 Brentwood Drive. Case number 172746, City versus James Stevens Johnson and Glenn Johnson, 104 Holland Avenue. And case number 172748, City versus Thrasher Investments LLC, 108 Holland Avenue. And that is it.
I have a question on the roads case. The value on that is, the lien is accrued to $345,600. The property is probably nowhere near that. I looked it up, and I believe it's occupied. And there's nothing going to happen. This violation is going on and on and on. Go ahead.
No, I'll wait till after that. I've got something else.
Yes, and
Anybody
I-
have a comment on that?
And I could see if they've returned a green card, like a certified mail. I believe, I know some of the early ones have. I'd have to check to see if they're the ones that returned a green card. And he can speak to that.
Grand Circle, I can tell you that. I live on Grand Circle.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing.
That residence is still occupied. They keep in the front yard cut. The backyard, you can see the pool from the street. That's where the problem is. The pool cage is overgrown. And last inspection, the pool was dark water and everything, but there's a fence around it. So there's no change there, but it is owner occupied.
A question. What is on here when it says no viable assets? What does that mean? What is that in the comments on the sheet?
Normally, what it means is that if there was any property value that the city could maybe go after, it's not there.
So have
So
we
it just
filed a
sits
lien
there.
against the property? Is there a lien
This
against
is
the
an
property?
accruing lien.
These are accruing fines.
Okay, so these are accruing, okay.
So,
Because
can't-
the couple that owns it, the couple that live here, he doesn't live there any longer.
right, that's why she's not fixing it.
Yeah, okay.
And the one on Leon, which is the other high lien one, that one is occupied. The exterior of the house is atrocious, but there's people still living in it.
But I don't think I was able to find out if it's listed.
I think it's Christopher York, is that the one on
Yeah.
Leon? He's still listed to him, and
Yeah.
it's atrocious.
All right.
What is our options on, I keep interrupting you.
That's what I was gonna bring up.
What's the options here?
Remember, I asked back in, I think it was January, the last time we had done a title search, a full title search on them. Did we ever do that or not, or to check all these properties that are non-homesteaded? No, I think legal was, or the city had to talk to see about approving them to do them or whatever they had to do.
When was this requested?
January, if you look at the
January.
January minutes, and you guys were gonna check into it, see when the last time it was done, because we've got 14 out of, 20 or so that are non-homesteaded, whether or not the city can
Well, I'm not sure
enforce
we
them.
have valid standing on some of these accruing fines now.
Yeah.
In light of the new evidence. So, Mr. Chairman, to cut him off.
Yeah.
I think the city needs to go back and look at these, all these that have accruing fines, because I look at one case, 16-0491, Richard and Deborah Warren. He has an open permit, but he's accruing a fine.
Well, does he have an open?
Yeah, he has an open permit for 6 months.
Yeah.
And he's accruing a fine the whole time.
But he's.
But based on the evidence and the testimony we got tonight from the city attorney, if there's a permit, there should not be accruing fine.
Right, but does he
So I
start?
think all these cases need, that have accruing fines, we need to see if it
But the
falls under the new
permit-
standard.
That's why I asked about the title
The
search.
permit
just-
is only good for 6 months.
Yes.
Then,
But
once
it-
you exceed the 6 months, then the fine still continues on.
But his fine was started accruing before the 6 months, before the permit was up. I don't know, that's why I'm asking, I think we need to have all this for me, meeting here in light of the new evidence about the open permit, because I believe the fine started accruing before the expiration of the permit.
And that one was extended and
Yep.
all kinds of.
So,
good
and I don't
stuff.
know these other cases, because some of them were before me, but they might have had permits. And so therefore, we might have to reduce those fine amounts that are
Well,
accruing.
Well,
but
we could
again,
have-
once we can get through all that, my biggest question was, on the title searches, because of the 14, there could be one or two that actually, the liens could be enforced and
Yep.
you never know. They may not have mortgage, they may not have anything.
The reason why that's accruing, because it still remains out of compliance. So after the 6 months,
Not based
Yeah,
off the city
yeah, just-
attorney's testimony tonight.
no.
I'm
If
just
it,
saying.
if it still remained, if it was in compliance, that violation would go away, yes.
Right.
But she stated today, and that's why I said, just for the May meeting, I don't want to
No, but
belabor
that
this
permit was
part.
for the-
We would need to have all those that fall under that
But I want to
case.
clarify that. That permit was for the roof permit.
Right.
So it still remained out of compliance after the 6 months. That's why it's still accruing.
But I'm saying, when did the fine start accruing? Did it start accruing during the 6-month permit period?
Because he never brought the property in compliance.
But she's saying that if you have an open permit and you're trying to fix it, you shouldn't have a fine
Shouldn't be
accruing during
running
those
a
6
fine.
months.
But in, that property came in compliance prior to the expiration of that permit.
Based off of what I heard today,
But
if
you're
I'm going
not-
to be at the May meeting, I'd like to see it
But-
when that permit in the minutes on that.
But sorry, what I'm trying, what I'm-
Yeah. The two of you are talking about two different things.
Two different
and
things.
you're misunderstanding what I
Well, if we're
said.
confused, can you imagine the citizens that live in Temple Terrace?
Well, I think what we do is we'll stop this discussion
Okay.
right here because we need to have the city attorney, we have to have the city administrator, we could have all the council members. I don't care who comes. We have some questions.
but just so you know, Mr. Warren's property on Mission Hills, 108, that did not ever come into compliance, and that's why it's still accruing. Yes, he did pull a permit, but it's still, what, but what's not to understand?
The chairman is the chairman's table. I think we need to take direction of the chairman.
I can clarify that.
We'll do it at May. We'll do it at May. There's no reason to do it.
It's not,
We will have it in our discussion, as I said already. A couple of times. Okay, Kristen, let's continue. We're done? Good.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Motion's been made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. This was a feisty group tonight.